In fact, let's get in Mayuresh Joshi, Fund Manager, Angel Broking. Mayuresh, hi. Let's talk about what the possible likely outcome of the Brexit or not could have on our own markets. And do you think that to a large extent it's already been priced in?
Afternoon, Avan. Going by what the polls are suggesting at this point of time, I think the markets are largely factoring into Britain remaining within the EU. Having said that, I think the vote is conclusively in favour of Britain staying within the EU. My own perception is that the upside to the market might not be that evident. So Nifty might touch 8,500 from a short-term perspective. However, if Brexit has to happen, I think the eventuality for the market downfall can be quite catastrophic across asset classes. So whether that be equities, bonds, currencies, so the risk off probably can come into foray as well, and probably that can have a negative sentiment in the way the markets trade.
Mayuresh, there's a bit of a buoyancy in the markets currently. Markets probably discounting the fear factor, not showing any signs of buckling down, at least as of now. Tata Motors is leading the charge there, one of the most widely exposed stocks from India to that region. What do you do here? What are you telling clients to do with Tata Motors?
Afternoon, Neeraj. Again, the risk remains, right? And if Brexit has to happen, I think companies like Tata Motors will have a significant amount of exposure through JLR, would get impacted in a negative adverse manner. Again, clearly, if you look at the way their sales are placed at this point of time, excluding the EU, 25% of the sales basically happen in the EU region. A lot of import components, close to 35-40%, come
allow me to come
the
in.
EU region.
Mayuresh, allow me to come in. I would want your view here, Mayuresh, on Reliance Communication. The flash is coming out that they're going to sign the binding document for the Aircel deal very, very shortly. Now, we've all been waiting, and particularly shareholders of Arcom have been waiting for this to happen. I mean, waiting for multiple things to happen. This is one of the many, or one of the 2 or 3 large ones that people are waiting for. What are the thoughts here? Difficult sector, a difficult company in a difficult sector, trying to make its way out, signing some deals. What are your thoughts on Arcom, and particularly this Aircel deal?
Now again, I think it was largely expected to come through. It's come through. I think that's a positive sign off for Arcom. There also has been a credit upgrade that has happened a few days back. But again, I think one really needs to understand the kind of core business dynamics that the company is performing and functioning under within the larger telecom space. So yes, sentimentally, the news is very, very positive for Arcom. How does that translate into earnings? I think the next few quarters numbers will be a testament to that fact.
Okay, and that clearly is giving the stock a good prop up in trade. It's inched up a good 5% right now, as it will be signing that binding document for Aircel very shortly. And remember, today we had the upgrade as well due to the foray into the 4G services, as well as its focus on data services. 2:55 almost on the clock. Time to get in those technical closing trades. And Dr. Narayan, would like to start off with you. What looks good on the charts?
Well, it is a stock which you were just discussing with Mayuresh. I would be a buyer in Arcom. I think a great set of indicators there on the short-term charts. Very definite indication that things may be changing around on the daily charts. So I would be a buyer at the current price of about 50 and a half also. Putting a stop at about 48. Would buy any dips towards the stop as well and look for a target at about 54.
Here as well with on this piece of announcement. And Gauri, how crucial for Arcom? It still says very, very shortly.
Neeraj, this is of course a deal that is extremely crucial for Arcom. It has been in the pipeline for some time now. Remember, there have been several extensions that both Aircel and Arcom have talked about in terms of still thrashing out the final contours of the deal. Even last month, they had extended their exclusive merger talks by a month. That, in fact, expired yesterday. So we were expecting some sort of an agreement or some sort of a deal to be thrashed out between 2 players, though we still do not have the deal contours because the companies have still not made that public, but the intent that they are looking at a merger is of course known, and that has been reiterated today again by Arcom. But as far as the importance of it is concerned, it is extremely important for Arcom to bring down its debt, and this merger will go a very, very long way in doing so.
Yep. Okay, Gauri, thanks a lot for that. Of course, we've got the details there, just the timeline still left, but the stock is very, very excited as a result of that. And that is CK Narayan's top idea at 255 as well. Thanks for that, Gauri. So Arcom is one idea. Mitesh, what is yours?
Yes, I would want to go with Bajaj Auto. I think it's very close to the breaking above the important pivot levels of 2655. So I think if it starts getting past 2660, I would be a buyer here with a stop below 2630 for targets for around 2725.
Okay, that's Bajaj Auto and RCom, both buy recommendations. And finally, Siddharth, what's your view?
Well, I would ideally like to go very light in tomorrow's session, but finding out stocks like Jubilant and ONGC as a buy, I don't think so. It would be impacted by any means by what is happening across the globe. So that is a buy for me with a target somewhere around 226, 227, and you can fix the stop loss around 211.
Keep in mind, Bajaj Auto from Mitesh Thakkar, I think, is a conditional buy. So not a buy at the current prices if it inches up a bit higher. However, take a break on that note. This is the one that I was talking about, a conditional buy. Take a break though on that note. Come back, continue a conversation with all our experts. The IPO closing today, which all retailers are subscribing to, while there is Brexit and the talk there and what's happening to the markets, I think the primary markets are active too with Mahanagar Gas. We get the management on the other side. All right, back with closing trades right here on ET Nav. And the market is doing extremely well. Now the Sensex is up over 1%, 8278 for the Nifty. So doing rather well, and keep in mind that it is only restricted to the large caps. The mid caps and the small caps are not participating. It's by and large a reaction to what the global markets are doing, which are doing rather well ahead of the vote. And I must say, it is a bit of a surprise. I don't think too many people anticipated this. Most people would have thought that it's going to be a dull, listless day, and can't be faulted, quite frankly. Within that, as we've stated, Tata Motors, Ambuja, SBI, Axis, Dr. Reddy's, the list of gainers is extremely buoyant. But that one stock which is doing well, CK Narayan spoke about it at the start of the show, is Yes Bank, 1108, trading at fresh life highs for itself. And CK, I reckon that's the chart of the day. Why not, for the benefit of our viewers, give them the rationale once again? Okay. I think we just got a problem with the line of CK Narayan. But nevertheless, Yes Bank is doing very, very well. And then, Aman, the subscription numbers on your screen of Mahanagar Gas, boy, if it was listed today, that would have been rip and roaring as well, because the subscription numbers are very, very robust.
Yes, indeed. And it's really a telltale sign of the way things have really shaped up for that IPO. One of the best so far. In fact, let's get in more perspective on what exactly the company's plans are, given that the numbers have so far been pretty impressive. Rajiv Mathur, Managing Director, Mahanagar Gas, is with us right here in our studios. Mr. Mathur, lovely having you. And we've got our inboxes flooded with Brexit or with Mahanagar Gas reports as well. So let's start off then by talking a little bit more about the details. Basically, an OFS, we understand where the promoters will be selling, and nothing is really coming into the company. I just want to understand from you, is it fully funded with all the capex? You, in the near future, do not require any more funds?
So on an annual basis, we generate about 500 to 600 crores through our operations. And that at the moment is good enough to fund our capex and other requirements.
Okay. And, you know, we've just been going through reports as well, and they seem to suggest that the domestic natural gas that's currently at about $3.4 to $5.7 per MMBTU, that's lower than the imported natural gas. Can you just tell us how the company is managing to secure gas at a lower cost?
So for our operations, 85% of the gas we get from domestic sources, which is between $3.06 and $5.75. A blend of both, and that's probably the cheapest gas that is available. Under the government allocation, we get the entire volumes that we require for our CNG and PNG purposes. That's piped gas supplies into houses as well as for the transport sector in the city. For the rest of it, which is for industries and the commercial sector, we get imported gas, which also is quite competitive as of now, available between $6 and $7 delivered into Mumbai. We are very close to the import terminal, so our cost of acquisition is low, and we in turn pass it on to the customers in terms of the price that is there for all these sectors.
Firstly, Mr. Mathur, all three of us, I'm sure, sitting out here are customers, and we are very happy with the services being provided.
Thank you so
congratulations on that. We also have an analyst, and we'll get his view on that, Mr. Mayuresh Joshi. But before that, I just want you to, I know you're in a silent period, so you obviously can't give out specific numbers. But across the analyst reports that come in, I read about two things. That one, within the areas that you operate in, the penetration levels are still low, and there is enough room to expand on both sides of your business. Now, is that room large enough for you to have the CAGR growth that you've shown in the past for the foreseeable future, for the next 5-6 years?
So Mumbai is quite a big urban agglomeration. Mumbai, Thane, Raigad, all these three areas. And the population is about 2 crores or more. There are about 50 lakh households, and of which 30 lakh of them are actually serviceable through our pipeline networks.
Right.
If you leave aside the chawls and the slum areas and all that. And we've done about 8,60,000 by now. So there's a big upside within Mumbai to penetrate more and more, supply gas to each and every household that we can actually reach. And Mumbai is expanding. So in Raigad, a new Mumbai is in making next 5 years' time or so.
Right.
So all that we are in the planning stage to develop the next network and try and supply gas to each and every new house that comes up, a flat which is built. We've even lined up the contractors and the builders.
Sure.
So as they build their houses or their flats, along with that, the pipeline for gas would also be built in their own, as they build those structures.
Yeah, I mean, I must compliment you've changed lives. I mean, now people, when they buy a flat in the low-cost areas, they say that a pipe connection hai ya nahi hai. That is that first question being asked. I mean, we no longer see the cylinders being dragged.
Absolutely.
And that's a big change. But as I was saying, Mayuresh Joshi is with us as well. And Mayuresh, before we thank you, just speak to the management of Mahanagar Gas, a quick opinion from you. What has been your official indication or recommendation to your clients? And you don't have to be good because the management is here. Tell us what you actually told them.
Not being good for the reason of being good, I think the numbers are testimony to the fact that our research is recommending a subscribe. As the management was indicating, I think it's a very healthy balance sheet that the company's got, debt-free, is generating ROEs in excess of 21-22% consistently over the last 5 to 6 years. Even if you look at the under-penetration, I think there is huge scope for improvement, both in terms of volumes over the next 2 to 3 years, in our opinion. So volumes of anywhere between 7 to 8%, to say the least. The cost of sourcing of gas from sources internally make it extremely compelling. I think the cost of sourcing is anywhere between $3.06 and $5, as the management was indicating. And again, I think the valuations at this point of time, if I do a simple check between the peers, at around 13 times, or it is very cheap compared to an IGL or a Gujarat Gas. So I think all these prospects of a healthy balance sheet and the prospects of healthy balance sheet growth going forward makes us extremely sanguine about the business prospects of the company. So yes, I think we remain optimistic about the issue as well as the company prospects going ahead.
That optimistic note, Mayuresh, we will thank you. Thanks for joining in on the show and giving us that perspective. Speaking of optimistic, as Mayuresh said, the proof is really in the pudding in terms of the kind of numbers as well. Understand that the overall subscription is at 36.3 times. The QIB subscribed 51 times. HNI subscription, Neeraj, if I'm not wrong, is 90 times, and retail.
It's now gone up, Abhan.
Okay.
The HNI, as per the latest number,